I grew up in a pretty awesome environment. I had two loving parents, a sister, had friends. I was kind of an athlete, so I did well with at least not getting picked last on the playground. But I kind of struggled in school. In fact, I really struggled in school. And at an early age, I was diagnosed with dyslexia. I don't know what it's like not to have it, but at the time, the teachers and counselors said, he's 2 grades below reading level. He's not writing and communicating effectively. I don't think that this school is the right school for him. Again, I was young. I had no idea what was going on. I just kept on moving. And my mom and another teacher stood for me, and I stayed at the school. But what happened is that I continued to struggle in school. And I struggled in school to the point where it became a lot of anxiety. I hated taking tests. I was teased D for David in middle school. And I kind of just hated, education and teaching. But I had a couple teachers, John Threlkeld, Sally Kennedy, Dick Kenny, people that stood for me. And somehow along the way, I passed high school and I went to college. And then I found myself in college. And I was in, if you can imagine this, I had bleach blonde hair at the time, like Christmas white hair. I'm in South Africa and I'm living in a township. And this particular township had 35,000 black people, and it was me and my friend. We were the only 2 white people out of the entire group. So here I am from a somewhat sheltered life, good family, good friends, and all of a sudden my world gets blown up. And I find a couple things. I don't know how to process what I'm seeing. I don't know how to process the world. How is it that I have what I have, and these people have almost nothing? Third world situation. And I had a teacher there, and his name was Zed. And Zed was kind of a counselor, and I said, Zed, I don't know what to do with this. I'm really lost. And he said, David, there's 2 things to remember. The first thing is that everybody in this township has the ability to get out. If they learn, if they educate themselves, if they go out to the world and learn skills, not even just math and science, but like empowerment and choices and everything that makes you successful in life, they have the ability to go out and make a difference in the world. I said, well, what do I do about it, Zed? And he said, well, you actually happen to be in a really great place. You have leverage. You have the ability to take the gifts and the education you've been given and go out and make a difference. So I came back home and became a waiter and I graduated college and did this and that. And before you know it, the one thing that I was never going to do, I ended up doing. And I ended up teaching, if you can believe this, English in middle school. I taught history as well, but English is what I'm teaching. So I could walk in, I'm like, oh, I'm going to show you guys how this is done. I'm going to change the world. I'm going to teach you guys everything. And for anybody who's taught, specifically middle school, I got it handed to me. I got it handed to me so much to the fact that kids were getting suspended out of my classroom, stink bombs were being set off. I would wake up, and I can remember it as if it was just yesterday. I'd wake up every Sunday night at 3 a.m. Not just kind of a casual wake up, but a dead panic wake up of the fear of those kids coming and me not being able to do anything about it. And the pinnacle child was this guy named John. And John had a terrible situation. He had 2 parents who were in an ugly divorce. And this ugly divorce was so bad that the parents couldn't be in the room at the same time together. And when they were just bad-mouthing each other. And this kid was totally confused. And who did he take his confusion out on? This guy. So here I am, miserable, unhappy, anxious. I'm running around the gym or at the track during lunchtime. I'm going like this, which is great if you're trying to get out stress and anxiety, but bad if this punch is little Susie and this punch is meant for little Johnny. And I didn't know what to do. But I had coworkers and an administrator that stood for me. And what I did is I showed up. And I showed up the next day, and I showed up the day after that, and I kept showing up, despite the fact that things weren't going well. But eventually things started to turn around. And I learned some techniques on classroom management. My activities got better. And I stayed with teaching for a while. And one of the greatest moments of my life was when I left that particular school. In that particular school, at the end of the school, you go to an assembly on the last day of the school year, and they announce which teachers are leaving. And they announced my name, and they asked me to come up to get a tie. And as I'm walking up, I'm in the back of the auditorium, I'm walking forward, and John stands up. And John and I had gone through it. But John stood up, and he started clapping. Before you know it, somebody stood next to John, and they started clapping. And before you know it, the entire auditorium of kids, middle school kids, are standing there clapping for me. And I'd love to say I held it all together. There's middle school, boys don't cry, men don't cry. Tear ducats, the streams are flowing. And I've since left the actual classroom teaching to pursue other dreams. But to this day, I still teach. Now what I do for a career is I teach adults. I coach adults, I coach parents, I coach teachers, families, 20-somethings. And I tell you these stories of my struggle with education, my struggle with teaching to highlight this fact. And that fact is that we all have it inside of us, even when it's hard, even when it's struggle. It doesn't matter if it's teaching, it could be finance, relationships, money, sex, doesn't matter. And somewhere along the line, I got really clear that my mission, my goal, is to not only teach and to educate people, whether it's math, science, English, life, finances, but that I am here to be a stand in the way that my mother was when I was being asked to leave the school. When my mother was up at 12 o'clock at night reading my essays so I didn't fail the test. I'm here to be a stand for John Threlkeld, for Zed, for my coworkers and teachers, and any coach, mentor, person that has taught me to get me to a place where I am today. So to all of you, I want you to first of all go out and thank the teachers in your world. Not just classroom teachers, but teachers in life. And the second thing is go out there and follow your dreams and know that every single one of you has a purpose and a voice.